Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Bat Channel. Today we're going to be going over a few different things. We're going to start off with the newbie's guide to your first EQ. Now, this is just a short list. This does not list every single type of way to get EQ, but this is just a few that'll maybe help you out in the future. Now, to start off, you can always do the basic kill things and take their shit basic loot. Now, the thing with that is a lot of the Q that drops from monsters that you can kill is not going to be that great. It's not going to give you a good armor rating. It might give you coverage, but coverage doesn't really do much besides say, hey, my winker's not hanging out. So you can go that route. You can fill yourself up with as much EQ as you can get from small mobs, and by all means, you'll probably be able to hack your way up to the higher levels. But there's a couple other ways that really could probably do a little bit better. Now, another way is to get merchant-made equipment. Now, merchant-made equipment can actually go down two separate routes. First off, you can go by getting a diamond oyor from one of the many merchants, Zor, Sprite, a few others, and it'll be a very great piece of equipment for damage reflection, coverage. It's quite good. It's good armor. There's a downside to having that type of armor. It does not give stats. Now, I said there was two paths. The other way is you can actually talk to a fellow who is slightly to the east and south of Arlon. This man, I believe he's named a Shady Fellow, is a human. You can do tasks for him every day. He'll need a few items. If you do these tasks for him, you can actually get these gems. Now, these gems can be, after a process of talking to two other NPCs, can be added to merchant-made equipment and enchanting them to give them stats. I believe the stats are of your choosing. They can be, I believe, strength, dex, pretty much all of the different ones except for damage. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. So you can do these tasks for him, and there's actually three tiers of tasks. There's easy tasks, medium tasks, and hard tasks. Now, if you're a newbie, I'm going to say probably going to go for the easy tasks. Easy tasks, they're, well, easy, but they'll also help you know the area of Leonar, because most of them are, I think all of them are within the boundaries of Leonar. So you actually learn different areas, learn what monsters drop what. Most of the kills are very small, so it shouldn't be too hard. If you need help, of course, you can always call for somebody who's larger, but you never know how that's going to go. For the most part, I think you should be able to solo pretty much all of the easy tasks. Now, you can get one of these gems per day, and there's a few stipulations, I should say, that goes along with them. There has been a recent notice that not all merchant-made equipment works with it, and only a few certain types of material work with it. So when you get your gem, maybe talk to a merchant, get a couple random pieces of armor made from them from a few different types of material to decide which material you want. Keep in mind that there are a few special materials that maybe work better for your class, such as if you're an orc and you have to stay in darkness, maybe you want to use Duconium. I believe that's the one. No, Nullium. That's the one, excuse me. You'll want to use Nullium. And if you're somebody who needs to stay in the light for some reason, such as an Ent, you want to use Illumium. Now that one is correct. Also, there's a couple others that are used pretty often, which is Diamond and Duconium. Both very strong materials. I believe Duconium weighs a bit more, but I believe it might cost a little bit less. So when you're having this merchant-made equipment made, you're also going to want to think about if you want to use a multi-slot equipment, such as a battle suit, or padded armor, things of that nature, because when you use a gem with them, yes, you'll get a slightly larger stat boost, but in the end, when you have 22 slots of single slot armor, with each one being enchanted, you're going to have a higher bonus in the end when you have multiple pieces versus a multi-slot armor. So keep that in mind. Of course, you can always do what you want. I'm just giving you a little bit of insight on what I know. So those are a couple different ways. Another one is you'll be in the newbie zone. If you're listening to this and you've started, I think, after 2013, you've gone through Dartwall. Now, Dartwall is the new newbie zone. And once you do the newbie intro, which I believe gives you a couple pieces of cool gear as it is, you'll be able to access the Dorwall mines. Now, the Dorwall mines have mobs in there that drop Crystite. Now, Crystite can be, I believe, in 3 different sizes from shard to boulder, and you can turn these in to an NPC. And once you turn them in, you can go to another NPC, and they'll have a list of types of armor that you can buy from them. Now, there's different grades of this armor. It goes from a small type to a large type, depending on how many shards you want to spend, from, I believe, 100 to almost 100,000. Now, there's multiple stats that you can have with these. I think it's 4 base stat systems, which is tank, DPS, caster, and healer, and giving you stats regarding whatever you're wanting to do. Now, I also believe that if you're in a party and you're doing Dorwall mines, you can trade shards with each other if you're within the same party. So keep that in mind as well. If it's helpful, I don't know. The stipulation on that armor is it only lasts to level 60. Now that might sound like a big, oh my god, it's probably not that great, but I've played this game for around 10 years now, and I'm not a good EX player. I'm not even close. But if you're trying to focus on your levels over your skills, this might not be the way you want to go. Personally, I focus on my skills before my levels, allowing me to have more strength before I get to the level versus being what's known as min-maxed, which having a lot of levels but not really having the skill. Both have their bonuses and their weaknesses, but for the most part, I really do think the Dorwall armor might be something you want to look into. For no other reason as you're going to get experience from killing the mobs. You're getting something from the mobs that you can also turn into something else you can use. So it's a win-win in my book. Another one you want to think about is going a reincarnation or a guild and race that doesn't require very much armor or weapons. Now, you can look at this a couple ways. There's a hidden stat, which I believe is still in the game, which I actually am 100% sure is in the game, where certain races have more natural armor. For example, Tin Men have one of the highest natural armors in the game. Now, if you combine Tin Men with, say, Monk's Guild is a martial arts guild where you actually don't use weapons, you can actually have a pretty good base character without the need of very many armors or anything of that nature. Now, saying that playing Monk versus, say, playing Ranger or Tetheric or a few of the other guilds might not rack you up the DPS or the parties you might want due to the low HP and the low base damage. But the nice thing about this guild, and there's actually another secret martial arts guild that you might hear about if you're in the game long enough. The nice thing about the martial arts guilds is you can go out, as they say, naked, and you can do your EXP run for the day. You don't have to worry about armor breaking. You don't have to worry about a lot of the things that you have to go along with, and especially expensive weapons. So martial arts might be the way for you. I recommend trying it once or twice. I personally play a Hobbit monk, one of the lowest HPs you can probably have, but with high evasion and high dodge and pretty decent ability to regen. It's not that bad. You know, you kill a butterfly, you regen, kill a butterfly, regen. And of course it gets better after that. And the really cool part about monks is, now we're talking about EQ, is with monks, you can get EQ for martial arts, which will increase your base damage pretty well. And this gear is called Amazon equipment, and it's actually fairly cheap. I believe it's around 30k per item. Now, as a newbie, if you've been playing the game for, say, we'll say a week, you'll be able to make 30k an hour pretty easily if you know any basic areas. For example, if you go down to the newbie, I believe Newbie Park, there's a item you can get from there from doing a very short run around of killing Marcus, taking his key, unlocking his room, killing the man that's inside, and then taking his gavel and turning it in. So you'll get a 5k item or something of that nature. Now, I believe they repop about every 10 to 15 minutes. It's a little bit randomized, but I'd say pretty easily that way. So you get 5k there. Now you can also go to the sentries and drawbridge. Those are usually pretty picked over, but once in a while they're there. And I do find they're pretty killable as a newbie level. And those drop a chainmail that's again worth 2 to 5k depending on where you sell it. So right there is a decent amount. Now if you stay under 30, you can also go to the newbie mines. And the newbie mines have a few different things that can give you money. You can go down there and you can kill the black puddings. Be careful, they split into two, so make sure you're targeting correctly and have your escapes correct. They can drop enchant armor scrolls, which high bees will buy. They're useful. They mostly, all they really do is they give a red glow to items, and they're used for a couple other byproduct quests. But there's also, I think, 2 to 3 mobs down there that have a scimitar that's red glowing, and that sells for 2 to 5k itself. So within an hour, you can easily make that 30k, which is one piece. And each piece of the Amazon gear gives plus 5 martial arts. So a total of 6 pieces, I believe, 6 to 7 pieces will give you 30 to 35 martial arts skill. So if you train your martial arts to 65 to 70, you have 100% martial arts wearing that gear. Now that brings your base damage up pretty decent, making you, for the, let's see, if it's 30k a piece at 6, making your 180k pretty well spent. These are just recommendations. I got off on a little bit of a tangent with the monks, but I hope these help you out. In my inventory here, I'm actually going to show you here if you can see it on the left, or in my EQ. There's also a way of getting equipment from questing. Now there's normal questing, which is your level quests, and I do believe a couple of those give some EQ. I'm not positive on that. But there's also area quests. One of the area quests here, let me zoom out on my map, is down here. The Village of Stauby. It's a Wicked Witch quest, level limited to level 50, so if you're over that, you can't really get in. But level quest 32, Wicked Witch, okay, see, that is a level quest. It's not an area quest. Gives you a nice little item that I actually have on my character right now. It's a pair of carnelian gauntlets. Now these gauntlets are nice because you can use them both for attack damage and strength, or excuse me, attack skill and strength, or you can use them for cast generic and int. There is a syntax that switches them between. You can figure that out, but it's a great little pair of items. You can't really sell them because I think they're player bound, but that's perfectly fine. But I just wanted to show you an example of quest gear, which you can get a few pieces that are very, very useful. There's one that gives water walking as well, I believe. If you squeeze it, it's a necklace, I believe. So there's that way. Also, I want to show you leather Oyori crafted by Jean Marie. Now this is a merchant made gear. Again, I mentioned that Oyoris are one of the best for if you're going to go with merchant made gear. This is just a leather one crafted by her. Many people go diamond or other ways. I just wanted to show you what that looks like. Also, you'll notice in my inventory, you'll see the Orc Scouts Field Guide. That's a area quest item. That one helps with your consider. So if you walk up to something and you don't know if it's too big for you or whatever, you can use consider while wearing that, whether or not you have the skill or not. It's pretty useful. So I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If I missed something, please leave it below and maybe I can add it in later on or things of that nature. I want to throw a shout out to Boggles, Ortoth Schmoozen, Basil, and Jean Marie for helping me out. I hope I said your names correctly. If I didn't, you can smack me later. And peace out.